All right, hey guys. So here we are live today. This is our very first Facebook Live, what do you call it? Facebook Live video.
Yeah.
So we're excited to do this today. And oh, I see how the comments appear. So we're learning along. So we're learning how this whole thing works as we go along. So bear with us. But we wanted to try. We've been doing some Periscope, and we wanted to see, if people preferred Facebook versus Periscope or both. And we're also trying a different time of day. We typically do the 8 p.m., but we decided to do more midday and see how you guys like that too. So we'd love to get your feedback on how you like this format, this Facebook Live format. Let's scoot closer. Yeah, I feel like we're we'll scoot back a little bit. Okay, so we can get Angela in. So I'm Jamie D. Bernard, IFBB Pro, and coach of Fit Body Fusion, and this is...
I'm Angela White, and I am also a coach here at Fit Body Fusion.
And each week we come on, we just share different ideas, different thoughts, just different insight into the fitness world, both from a competition standpoint, but also from just a transformation standpoint, how to maximize your fitness and your nutrition and all those things. So that's what we're here to do today. And today our subject is called 4 Pillars of Fitness. And our 4 pillars we're going to talk about today is training, nutrition, rest, and your mental state. So those are the 4 pillars we're going to talk about. You want to get us started with training?
Yeah, so our first pillar is training. That is probably one of the most important aspects of fitness, because that's kind of that's your foundation, and you start everything else around that. Personally, when I first started getting into fitness, I thought training, as far as weight training, wasn't something that I would be interested in. More so, I didn't want to get bulky. And that's what I heard a lot, that, women who weight lift, they're just going to get fake bodybuilders. But that's actually not true. Us as women, yeah, we do produce testosterone just like men, but we produce in such a low amount that it's nearly impossible for us to get nowhere near the size of a bodybuilder, or bulky is like what people would say.
Right, and I think some, without going into too much detail, sometimes people see women in the bodybuilding industry that are very bulky, and for the most part, there's some supplementation going on there, so that's not likely that you'll get like that in a natural way. And I think to Angela's point, a lot of times when people are starting out on their fitness journey, they think cardio, cardio, cardio. It's something we like to pull people back from sometimes, especially if somebody that's been their primary workout method, because you are tapping into muscle when you're doing a whole lot of cardio, especially depending on how much you're eating. There's a lot of wear and tear on the body, that kind of thing. Whereas when you are weight training and you're building muscle, you're actually increasing your metabolism, so you're burning more calories even at rest. And so you have some longer term types of benefits from that. But if you are doing cardio, the best method is HIIT training, HIIT. So that's high intensity interval training, versus your traditional steady state where you're kind of going at the same pace all the time. What you want to be doing is varying that pace. So you're going, the high intensity is going to be the sprint, and then you're going to have a period of time that's going to be lower intensity, where you're going to be letting the heart rate come back down into a more moderate zone, and then you're going to sprint again. That has been shown to increase metabolism. You burn calories for longer throughout the day after your session. So if you're going to be doing cardio, that's what we recommend.
Yeah, and personally, I do like to keep clients away from fasted cardio as well, just because fasted cardio is not something that a lot of, I think, just people in general should be doing if they don't have muscle to spare. A lot of people say that, when you work out or when you do cardio on an empty stomach, oh, you burn nothing but fat, which is not true. Our body uses muscle as energy before it does body fat. So in my opinion, I just try to stay away from fasted cardio unless I do have a client that is, say, a little bit on the muscular side and we are trying to tone them down.
Right. And I mean, there are exceptions to some of the things we're saying. Obviously if somebody's getting ready for a competition, we may pull out some things just to kind of shock the body, but we're talking more on a regular basis, and as a rule, what you want to be doing. This isn't, we're not talking about peak week. We do have other times we do talk about some of these other things that, different things you can do if you are specifically thinking about competition. But even if you're a competitor, or whether you're a competitor or a transformation person, for your regular practice, we suggest not doing the fasted cardio and sticking with more HIIT training versus the steady state cardio. Unless, like Angela says, you're trying to tone down. I mean, there are some situations where you are trying to tone down some muscularity, and if that's the case, then steady state or fasted steady state is for you.
Yeah. So that kind of wraps up training. Anything else?
Well, we kind of talked about training versus cardio. One of the things I think is important to realize is you don't have to always be in the gym when you're training. It's what's really important is that you get started. So, if you're training at home, you can be using bands, you could be using dumbbells, you can be using body weight. There's a ton of body weight exercises, but the important thing is you want to be doing some sort of resistance training. Obviously, if you're competing, in bodybuilding or in some other type of sport, you're going to want to train specific to that. But if you're someone who's just getting started, just getting started, just doing some body weight stuff. I even suggest doing, there's some weight training classes. If you're getting started, sometimes people find that kind of a fun, there's a whole group and they're walking you through it. The only thing I caution is I do sometimes see some really bad form in those. So if you are getting started, I would suggest if you could at least get a couple training sessions with a good trainer. Do your homework and find out, you don't want to get a trainer that's not really paying attention to what you're doing or maybe isn't teaching good form. So if you've never lifted weights before, I really recommend finding somebody who can show you proper form so that you don't hurt yourself. But then if you want to do those classes, they can be really fun. One other thing I'm just going to bring up is, in the training aspect is stretching is really important. I really like yoga. I haven't been doing as much of it as I really want to and would like to. So it's one of those things that I really need to bring back, both from a stretching and a maintenance of your body standpoint, but it's also another form of resistance training. So you're doing all kinds of great body weight resistance training while you're doing yoga. So I think yoga, also Pilates, those are great forms of exercise as well. So and with fitness, I think it's really important to find something you love and that you'll keep doing. So if you love yoga, that's great. I really love some of the kickboxing classes. So if I'm going to do some HIIT cardio, a lot of times I'll do it with the kickboxing because it's fun to me. So if you can find something that you really enjoy, you're going to be more likely to keep doing it regularly. And then one other thing, just bringing up that, be careful not to go from zero to a whole lot of exercise. You want to build up, and you want to do, obviously, I like getting sore. I like knowing I worked out. That feels great. But there is a level where it's too much, and that's not a level you want to get to. And depending on who you are, what your goals are, how you feel about it, you're not going to have fun if you're overdoing it. So when you start your fitness journey, if you're already a certain level, then maybe you're bumping it up to the next level. But if you've never done it before, it might be just starting to walk. It might be just, starting with some real basic stuff until you get going, and then add more in. But don't go from 0 to 100 overnight, because you're going to be sore and miserable, and you're not going to want to keep going. So welcome, Trisha. Anyway,
that actually brings up a good point. Going from nothing to a whole lot. I see that a lot of times in my competition preps. Girls will start out and say, "Oh, I'm gonna prep for a show." All of a sudden, they're doing an hour of cardio every single day. And what happens when your body hits a plateau? Whenever in the next 4 weeks, and you still have plenty of time before your show, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have to add in more and more and more. And soon your body's going to stop responding. You're going to overload your body with too much stress. You're going to burn out. It's just you want to maintain.
Right.
So you don't want to do something that's not maintainable, especially.
Right, and that's a good point, and that's the same applies for the weight training. If you've never lifted weights before, you don't have to do a lot to get benefits. If you've been doing it for a long time, you're going to have to keep pushing. You have to keep upping the bar so your body keeps changing, because your body adapts to whatever you're doing. And so that's what Angela was talking about. If you're doing an hour of cardio, your body's going to adapt to hour cardio. If you want to then make more changes, you're going to have to add to that. And at a point, it's like, how much are you going to do? I mean, how many hours in the day do you have? So, milk each phase for all it's worth. Each time you bump up, your intensity for your weight training or your cardio, either one, milk it. As long as you're still getting results, there's no reason to keep increasing. Increase when you need to increase. And one other thing is take breaks. And we're actually going to get to resting as another pillar, but you don't build muscle in the gym. It was so funny. I had a client just say this to me the other day. She was like, I don't know if I should do cardio right after my weights because I don't want to lose my gains. Well, you didn't build anything, in the gym. You actually
tore it down.
Right, you actually tore it down. So you're not actually going to build anything until you give your body that time to rest. So when I see somebody who's really, sore and really, not recovering very well. I had one person, I had her just take an entire week off. And then we started putting things back in a little slower because she just wasn't recovering. So we're going to talk about that in the rest section. But, with training, it's the slow buildup. It's the listening to your body. It's finding things that you enjoy. Maybe it's finding a workout partner. So it's somebody who helps motivate you and that you guys can push each other. Or maybe it's attending classes where there's other people there. Or maybe you're somebody who does better or really enjoys kind of the zen of working out on your own and you just put in your headphones and your hat, and you kind of get into your zone. But you have to find what works best for you. That's what's really, really important. Thank you for the hearts. This is so cool.
I know it's different.
Yeah, this is the first time on our Facebook Live, so this is very cool. Welcome, Sarah.
But yeah, just to finish up training, kind of like what Jamie was saying, there's no change in the body without challenge. And and we're not saying, like go challenge yourself and see how much you could lift your very first lift. Anything that quote unquote stresses the body more than your everyday will change. So,
right.
Like I said, there's no change without change.
That's right. Absolutely. I'm sore. So
yes.
I did some challenging this last week. Anyway, and that's really fun. It's the right amount of sore. Okay, so let's talk about our next pillar, which is nutrition.
Yeah. So with nutrition, as you guys know, here at Fit Body Fusion, we do practice a flexible nutrition plan, and by that, all we try
Hey, Shonda.
with that, all we try to do is provide clients with something that's sustainable. So yeah, with nutrition, flexible dieting is just being able to find balance and enjoy the things you like and not restricting anything else. A lot of times people, when they think of flexible dieting, they think of people who just eat junk, which is not
Pop-Tarts and donuts.
Or Pop-Tarts and Oreos. Which, yes, we do eat those things, but do we eat those every day? No. There's no way you can hit your fiber by having nothing but that. There are some people that have a very quick metabolism who can get away with enjoying a little more fun foods. But personally, I don't have the greatest metabolism, and I wouldn't want to waste, all my carbs on a single Pop-Tart.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and like Angela's saying, the idea of the flexibility is to give you something sustainable. When you go on a diet, which I feel like diet is a 4-letter word. I hate diet, right? So somebody gives you a diet, and then you're going to follow it, and you get results. Great, awesome. Then what? You're going to stay on that diet for the rest of your life? You're going to eat nothing but chicken and broccoli for the rest of your life? That's not reasonable. And quite honestly, it's not necessary to get the benefits that you want. Typically when somebody's laying out a nutrition plan for you, they are taking into account how many grams of carbs, fat, and protein. They're choosing foods and they're putting them in an order for you so that they're doing the work for you. The problem is that with that, you're not learning to do it for yourself. And then what happens when you go to a social event? What happens when you go out to eat? What happens when you run out of something? You have no idea what to do. What happens when you get so sick of that meal plan that you can't look at another, piece of tilapia or whatever the heck they put on there, right? It's not something that's sustainable. So what ends up happening is even if you get results in the short term, the likelihood of a rebound, you know, and gaining the weight plus more is very, very high.
95% in a study that I found.
Yeah, 95%. I mean, and I think there's hardly anybody that can't relate to that. I mean, I know myself, I've done it a million times, you know, before I really, really understood the body and the hormones and, you know, the metabolism and how all of this worked. Yeah, I tried every diet in the book, you know, and that's, the gain afterwards is always so much worse, and then the metabolism is so much slower, and it's like spinning your wheels. There's so many people that I work with that have dieted so much. The more they've dieted, the harder it is for us to get their metabolisms back up. I've seen people, yeah, you start binging, absolutely. I mean, and right there, right, I have to hand. You can't see the hip. Yes, totally. I mean, and then once you start binging, there's something that happens inside of us, mentally and emotionally, and that's another one of our pillars that happens, you know, feeling like a failure when we start binging, and so then we binge some more because we're upset with ourselves.
We're not losing weight anyway, so might as well have the cake.
Right. So there's this whole cycle that happens. So you know, having that flexibility within the plan, that's the first thing we were talking about, is key to giving you back control of your choices, helping you understand what's in different foods. You know, people, you know, when they first get started, some people like feel like, oh my God, it's so much work. Right, exactly. Deprivation is not good. You know, once people start to get the hang of it, and then you go in the store or you go to the restaurant, you start looking at the menu, and you know then, you know, what's in different things. You know, sometimes you think something's a good choice. There might be a salad on a menu or something, and, you know, later on when you're learning, you know, how to do this, you start realizing, hey, wait a minute, that salad has 1,000 calories. What? I'd rather eat the burger. You know, it teaches you to make the better choices. So that's the first thing with the flexible dieting. And I was just going to kind of bring up with inflexible dieting, and you guys that are online with us now know this, and, you know, anybody else who's watching it later, just want to explain, you know, I really feel like the first and foremost thing we want to do is build the metabolism. There are some people who haven't over dieted that can go right in and lose the weight and then reverse, but for the most part, most of us have dieted so much, even young people, right, have already dieted so much that our metabolisms are already down. So the first thing we have to do in order to build that metabolism up, just like you taught your metabolism to go slower, to burn less, to do the activity you're doing, you have to then teach it to burn more. And the only way you do that is the opposite of dieting. That's why we call it reverse dieting, by slowly adding back in carbs and fats and teaching your body to utilize them again. And guys, I mean, I can't stress to you, everyone's body is so different. I mean, I have some people, I start on a reverse diet and bam, 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 next thing you know, metabolism's up, we're good to go. I have other people that take a year and a half, 2 years. That was me. It took me that long. Angela,
Yeah.
I would say, you know, is in the same boat. So most of us aren't going to have it happen that fast. And it takes a couple things, and we're going to get into the middle aspects: commitment, consistency, kindness to yourself in the process. And I'm so happy Gloria's on here, and she just posted an amazing post that I reposted it's on my Facebook and on my Instagram, because she's really starting to embrace. And when you start embracing this, it's amazing how your body also starts to respond better.
It responds the same way. Yes.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, because our brains are so powerful, and they really control so much of what's going on. Well, we're going to get to mental in a second.
And then I'm going to just add on to her how she said that not everybody's the same. You're not the same every single time either. A lot of times, you know, some girls can dial in for a show perfectly their very first time. And then, you know, after they reverse diet, they get their carbs so high, and then it comes to the next show, and it just seems like you're just battling the body.
Right.
So, you know, like I said, your body's not the same after every single show, after every single, you know, weight loss, reverse diet. It's always will be different.
Right. Well, and so many things are affecting. A lot of it's hormones. A lot of it's hormones. And, you know, I work with a lot of ladies that are, you know, approaching mid-30s or, you know, kind of going over the 40 mark. And, you know, sometimes it's, you know, our bodies are changing. Our hormones are changing as we get older. I mean, that's one aspect. You know, it could be a lot of different things, you know, a lot of different things. A lot of times when the women lose their periods, when they're dieting really, really hard, that can tend to, you know, the body fights you for quite a while until that comes back. So, you know, there's a lot of different factors. And so being kind, being patient, you know, and sticking with your plan is the key to long-term success. So we're going to just break out each macronutrient.
Yeah. So before we do go into macronutrients, they're different for everybody. Your carbs, your fats, and your protein, it's based on a lot of things. Not just if you're male, female, your age, your height, you know, your weight. It's more so how much activity are you doing? How much food have you been eating before you started on the macros? You know, a lot of times, you know, girls will come to us not eating any carbs at all. We can't just go and give them a full on, you know,
what they should, what we think they should start at, right?
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes, you know, you do got to start it lower, whereas some girls will come in and, you know, they're just eating a whole lot and you're able to give them more. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of factors that go into it than just saying, no, you're this old, you're this tall, and you're a girl. So right. There's more to it.
Right, and a lot of people ask for percentages. Oh, what? It should be 30, 30, and like Angela says, there is not a one-size-fits-all answer to that. So a lot of times, like she's saying, we're looking at your past. We're you know, doing some calculations, you know, based on where your basal metabolic rate should be. We're doing, and then we're seeing how you respond, and then we're making adjustments from there. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I have to dial someone back from where we start originally, you know, just based on where their metabolism is currently. So some of it is just figuring that out, and some of it is trial and error. So there's not a one size fits all. I know there's a lot of macro calculators out there, but unfortunately, that's a one size fits all. It's not going to, even if you decide to go down that path and try that, you may still need to adjust. You know, it may hit it for you and you might get lucky, or it might be completely off. So
the only thing that I could say is, as far as protein goes, you want it more or less around your body weight.
Right, and so then, around 1 gram per pound of body weight. But that, and so to kind of give you the variance on that, you know, some people don't digest protein as well. So I might go a little bit lower, you know, 0.8 or so. Or if somebody is really, really heavy, if I'm starting with a client who has a lot of weight to lose, then likely I'm not going to start them at pound. You know, if I've got somebody who's 300 pounds, I'm not going to start them at 1 gram per pound of body weight. That's just not, that's not feasible. So we're going to dial that way back. So when I have someone who does need to lose weight, a lot of times I will dial that quite a bit back. But the rule of thumb, you know, if you're, you know, average weight or even a little bit overweight, you know, is going to be like 0.8 to 1 gram. Or on the flip side.
Like I have a client who's very, very petite, you know, under 100 pounds. And I might give her, you know, 110, 120 grams of protein,
right,
depending on where her macros are.
Right. So in that case, when that's the flip side, yes. So if you have somebody who's really tiny, they actually might need more. Or even if somebody who's not super tiny, but they're really, really hungry all the time, it is.
I like my protein.
Yeah, some people do need more protein. So, you know, you kind of feel that out. So usually if I find somebody's just really hungry all the time, I will, you know, maybe get them closer to 1.2, even 1.3 grams per pound of body weight, especially if they're really tiny and they have really fast metabolisms.
Or if you're, you know, you're really hungry and maybe you're really hungry and you're not dropping as much as you would expect. Mm-hmm. You know, you could kind of fill in and be a little more satiated if you do add a little bit more protein.
Right. So protein and fats are going to satiate you, where the carbs are going to tend to make you hungrier, but they also speed your metabolism, and especially if you're training really hard, you know, those are your primary source of energy. So you want to jump down to carbs?
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, your carb intake is really going to be adjusted based on, like I said, how much activity you're doing. Everybody's different. Some people are more sensitive to carbs. Like me personally, I enjoy carbs, but I don't get satiated enough with them, so I do limit them. And I like to consume the majority of my carbs pre and post workout. and also with breakfast. So I'll typically split them up, and then kind of scatter them out for the rest of the day.
Right. So ideally, you do want, 40 to 50% of your carbs pre and post workout, ideally. For most people, when I'm starting them out, I spread them out pretty evenly throughout the day. It has to also be what works well for you. So in a perfect world, pre and post workout's going to be the majority, and then you're going to split the rest out evenly. I tend to do save some extra carbs for the evening, because I really like to have something sweet in the evening, and it helps me stay on track during the day, because I know I get to have my little treat at night before I go to bed. So that might be some kettle corn, or I might have a Skinny Cow or something like that. So I do like to save some, I do, like Angela says, I still do weight heavier my pre and post, especially my post workout meal, and then Sarah does me, and then at night, because this is just as much mental as it is anything else. So a snickerdoodle, that sounds good. So you have to do what's gonna keep you on track. If I know I get my little treat at night and I'm going to lunch with some people, or I'm doing something else, I won't be tempted to eat whatever dessert or whatever else is on there, because I know that I'm going to get my little treat at night. So that's my way of mentally, staying on track during the day. So you have to kind of weigh what's ideal with what works for you.
And for me, I do work out at night, so my last meal is my post-workout meal, so that is typically a heavier carb meal. I personally don't believe no carbs at night.
Right.
If anything, I normally wake up lighter than, like I told you, I was a pound lighter this morning, and I had, I want to say, close to 50 grams of carbs before I went to bed. So,
right. And studies have shown that your basal metabolic rate does increase when you have carbs at night. So the studies support, they got some good stuff. That sounds really good. So the studies do support having carbs at night. So I know a lot of people are worried about eating at night. I eat pretty close to bedtime, because I sleep. I don't want to eat super, super heavy late, because then I won't sleep. But to me, if I'm hungry, I'm not going to fall asleep either. And sleep is so important. It's another one of our pillars, we're going to talk in a second. But if there's a lot of things to consider when you're planning out how you're going to spread out your food throughout the day, and making sure that you're not going to be hungry when you go to sleep is very important. So even if you have to have a little snack. But like Angela was just saying, carbs can tend to make you hungrier, but especially if you're sticking with the more simple carbs. And that doesn't mean don't eat them, right? Because we have to be reasonable with ourselves. Like I said, every day I usually have a treat, and that's going to have quite a bit of simple carbs in it. But with that said, I'm also going to put a lot of high fiber, complex carbohydrates throughout the day, so that it helps me stay satiated, and it helps helps have sustainable energy. The other thing that helps sustain your energy is not eating carbs alone. So if you do just eat carbs by themselves, you're going to be really hungry very quickly after. I always love the example of, if I get up in the morning and I do eggs and maybe a tortilla, or some Ezekiel bread, or some I like Dave's Killer bread or whatever, turkey bacon, and just do the whole have like a substantial breakfast. Yeah. With the same exact macros, I could have cereal with muscle eggs, especially if I don't add some kind of fats to it. I am going to be starving like within an hour of eating that meal, whereas the other meal would easily carry me for 3 or 4 hours,
same
and I'll be fine.
Everything.
Right, same calories, same macros, same everything. So paying attention to how different foods make you feel will really help guide you into making the correct choices. So being, starting out knowing that you want to get enough fiber, because it's really important for digestion, and digestion is key. I get that question so much, so much. If you guys didn't see our supplement Periscope, we did a whole Periscope on supplements, and we talk about supplements, especially in regards to digestion. But making sure you're getting enough fiber in your diet, but then just being aware when you eat something, how does it make you feel? Does it give you energy? Does it make you feel tired? Are you hungry very quickly after? Drinking a lot of protein powders, drinking a lot of your calories, you're gonna tend to be hungrier. All right, and I'm gonna go sign something, and Angela's gonna continue on nutrition, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, so just going back to the carbs at night, like for me, I like to eat closer to my bedtime because I don't like to go to bed hungry. When I do go to bed hungry, it leads to especially binge eating. I did struggle with that previously, and when I would go to bed hungry, I would wake up, or I wouldn't go to sleep, and I would continue to eat. So I like to eat closer to the bed, so I'm more satiated before I do fall asleep. But yeah, with that being said, I don't cut any foods out. I don't say, I can't have chocolate or I can't have, anything sugary, because the moment you cut that out, your body, you want it. You want it even more. As humans, we naturally want things we can't have. So the moment, like I said, the moment you restrict things, your body will naturally want it even more. Yeah, she had to go sign something because we were getting our new furniture in the front. Yeah. Let's see. Do you guys have any questions so far that I could answer? Oh, guess not. Okay, so yeah, as far as nutrition, that's about it. I am going to go into the next pillar, which is rest. A lot of times people don't get adequate rest because they want to go, go, go. They say, no days off, or, those kind of things, which in reality, it's not actually beneficial. You tear down your muscles inside the gym, you're working hard in the gym, that's where the work is put in. But when you go home, you have to properly feed your body the nutrients it needs for it to fully recover. And that's when your muscles will actually, come together, form. And that's where you make what they say your gains, is when you're at home. And then sleep, that's very, very important just as well. You want to be fully rested, so the next day when you do come to the gym, you're able to go hard. You are able to, get in a great workout. And for me, I like to save, my heaviest workout or my hardest workout, which is usually legs, the day after my rest day. So, and that always works for me. And typically, when I don't get rest, or if I say I only sleep, 3 to 4 hours, or even 5 hours sometimes, I actually wake up the next day pretty heavier. So, that can actually contribute to weight gain. And that goes a lot more into, hormonal reasons, just a lot of different things. And then, yeah, on my rest days, I will still consume, the same amount of macros. I don't, cut my carbs because it's rest day or anything like that. If I am carb cycling, sometimes my rest day falls on high carb day, sometimes it falls on low carb day. It just really depends. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, like I said, just make sure you are getting rest because the body does need it. It's just as important as your training itself. And the last pillar is actually balance, lifestyle, and mental. No fitness workout or routine, any kind of plan like that, it's not going to work if you're not making it a lifestyle. You can diet, but the moment you don't enjoy it, it's not sustainable. It's not going to work. And along with your goals, how much weight you want to lose, what day you want to do your show, be realistic. You can't say, I want to prep for a show right now, and it's, 10 weeks out and you're only eating 12,000 calories. What can we work with? You want to have goals that are realistic, that you can actually attain, and even sustain long term. And typically, with that kind of things, let's see. Yeah, in the moment you set a goal that's almost unattainable or too high, you start looking at yourself as a failure, or, you start saying, why didn't I do it? Why didn't I do it? And, it's not you, it's that, you can't just jump from 0 to 100, kind of like we talked about with training. You want to do little things, slow steps. Whether that's setting small goals in the gym, like, I want to do more of my squats, or I want to be able to curl more. Set small goals each week, which will actually end up contributing to your long-term goal. And then, yeah, being realistic, that means, like I said, setting small goals. And you can't just, cut out everything. So you say you love, like for me, I love my coffee and I love my creamer. I'm not just gonna cut out everything that I enjoy. I might do alternatives. Like for me, instead of, my creamer, I will go to, my stevia. So it's not that I'm not getting that anymore. It's just I'm making better conscious choices that'll actually, create more of a balanced lifestyle and sustainability for me. Yeah, so I mean that's about it. I'm not sure if Jamie has anything else. Hey Jamie. I don't know. Do you have anything else to add?
I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I pretty much went over that. I went over the rest a little bit.
I guess the only thing I would say is that all these things tie together, and as we've been talking through each of the pillars, you can see how everything intertwines. That taking into account getting enough rest is important. If you're, to me, just to throw it on rest. If somebody asks me, either I train and I'm only going to get 4 hours of sleep, or I don't train and I'm going to get 6, I'm going to tell you get 6 hours of sleep and don't train. That's how important rest is. Rest is so important. So and I know we talked about balance and lifestyle, but the lifestyle is the mental aspect we're talking about. Doing things you love. Eating things that you enjoy, balanced with things that make you feel good.
Being realistic. Yeah, with your goals and.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see people take on a lifestyle that they embrace and they can live for the rest of their life, and that's what we're talking about here. And these are the pillars of it. Surrounding yourself around the lifestyle things. Surround yourself around people who inspire you, who are going to drive you forward, that want to be part of your journey. And maybe eliminate some of those people who drag you down and don't want to be, don't want to live a fitness lifestyle, or always trying to discourage you from what you're doing. Sometimes you have to eliminate some of those people from your life. So, I think the more that time goes on and the more you really embrace all these things, the more successful you'll be. So, yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and hopefully you liked it. Give us some comments. Let us know what you think. Any subjects you want to see us talk about. How you like the Facebook Live platform. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then like and share, of course, if you are able to do that.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, and have an awesome day.